Some new information coming out of Libya now. We're getting reports that a key rebel commander, a former Umir of an al-Qaeda-linked group, is active in the area. This adds to the growing fears the terror group could get its hands on some of Gaddafi's most dangerous weapons. Stockpiles of deadly chemicals, raw nuclear material, thousands of shoulder-fired missiles. National correspondent Catherine Herridge is following this very important story live from Washington today. Catherine, what do we know?
Well, thank you, Jenna. He's becoming a more familiar face to the media, identifying himself as the commander of the Libyan rebels, part of their military council. But a leading Middle East monitoring group says Sheikh Abdul Hakim Balhaj is actually a former emir of an al-Qaeda-affiliated group. This footage is from a recent interview during the battle for Tripoli. But according to the group memory, Abdul Hakim Balhaj is linked to the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group, or the LIFG. It was founded in 1995 to set up an Islamic state or emirate inside Libya, and the U.S. State Department has designated the LIFG a terrorist organization with links to al-Qaeda. Balhaj fought against the Soviets in Afghanistan in 1988. He has also lived and traveled to more than 22 countries, including Pakistan, Turkey, and the Sudan. Balhaj was arrested in Malaysia in February 2004 and later imprisoned in Libya, and he was released in March of last year as part of a rehabilitation program. Military analysts say Balhaj underscores a larger problem.
We don't know who's going to be in charge of the overall follow-on government. By all accounts right now, the very fabric of society is falling apart. And this is where we got in trouble in Iraq.
For some context, the LIFG claimed in March that it was supporting the revolt against Gaddafi and that they were now under the National Transitional Council, Then the LIFG, and this is significant, it rebranded itself as the Libyan Islamic Movement, and then they denied any past affiliation with al-Qaeda, but you can see the data seems to suggest otherwise, at least with this military commander, Jenna.
Do we tend to underestimate the endurance of some of these folks inside these groups, Catherine, and the way that they reinvent themselves?
Well, I was given a piece of advice years ago by a former weapons inspector in Iraq, and I think no truer words were ever spoken on the subject. He said, terrorism is like water. It takes the path of least resistance, and you're dealing with a thinking enemy. You move one way, and it moves another, so that's another way of saying that these groups and individuals are very flexible and adaptable, and they often think out of the box.
Catherine, thank you so much for that report.
You're welcome.